The leaders of the railway labor union accused of instigating the rail workers' strike have been arrested. The Korean national football team has opened its first training session in Brazil. Competition for a spot on the roster is fierce. And Seoul's Dongdaemun district is now home to a holographic performance hall where audiences can see their favorite K-pop stars like never before. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Friday, January 17th. I'm Luke Clary. The Seoul Western District Court issued arrest warrants for leaders of the railway labor union Thursday. The leaders are accused of masterminding the recent rail workers' strike.
4 railway labor union leaders are now under arrest, including its chief, Myung-hwan. The Seoul Western District Court issued warrants for their arrests with charges of masterminding the railway workers' strikes and obstructing railway operations. The court explained that the charges were clear enough that the 4 could escape if they weren't detained, given their positions and roles in the demonstrations and also their actions after the strikes were withdrawn. It's the first time for the railway union leaders to have been arrested. The hearing session on the issuance of their arrest warrants began yesterday morning and lasted till late into the evening.
빨리 노사관대회가 재개돼서 원만히 마무리되기를 바라고 있습니다.
Kim and his 3 accomplices said that the right to go on strike was one of the 3 privileges guaranteed by the Constitution, but the court rejected their claim. Prior to the hearing session, the attorneys requested that the 4 be investigated without being physically detained. This was supported by a petition signed by more than 3,000 people, including some 30 lawmakers from both the ruling and opposition parties. Meanwhile, the court turned down the request for issuing arrest warrants for 5 other railway union leaders, as they had a low possibility of escape.
President Park Geun-hye met with Indian Prime Minister Myung-hwan for summit talks on her state visit to India. The 2 leaders talked economics on President Park's first stop on her foreign tour.
President Park Geun-hye and Prime Minister Myung-hwan adopted a joint statement that promotes stronger bilateral economic cooperation. The 2 leaders agreed to improve the comprehensive economic partnership agreement to boost the tariff removal rate and initialed an agreement to prevent double taxation on companies doing business in each other's countries.
포괄적 경제 동반자 협정 개선 작업을 가능한 빠른 시일 내에 완료하기 위해 최대한 노력하기로 하였습니다.
Park and Singh also agreed to establish an industrial complex exclusively for Korean businesses and increase the number of flights to and from India.
CEOs Forum, comprising captains of industry and commerce from both countries, to provide us with new ideas for deepening our economic collaboration.
Cooperation in the fields of foreign affairs and security, as well as science and technology, will be further strengthened by concluding a pact to protect classified military information and establishing a council to discuss information and communications policies. President Park then met with India's Vice President Mohammad Ansari and then with Sushma Swaraj, who is leader of the opposition. She also attended a state dinner hosted by President Pranab Mukherjee with Korean business leaders and emphasized the need to boost cooperation and exchanges between the 2 countries.
Dramatic swings in rhetoric coming from North Korea yesterday. First, fierce criticism of the upcoming joint ROK-U.S. military exercises, then a proposal for talks.
In a so-called major proposal, North Korea demanded a halt to all activities that maligned both sides. In its second proposal, Pyongyang demanded a stop to all hostile military activities and told Seoul to immediately scrap the Key Resolve and Full Eagle exercises. The North then urged the South to not involve America's nuclear strike capabilities in dealing with the Korean peninsula. But Pyongyang never mentioned its own nuclear issues. The regime blasted South Korea's Key Resolve and Full Eagle joint military exercises like this yesterday, and then before the day ended, issued what it called important proposals. The regime may be giving the impression of wanting to engage in talks, but North Korean experts say that this is just the regime trying to justify its future actions.
선제적으로 평화 제안을 하고 군사 연습을 하지 않을 것을 촉구한 다음에 했을 때 이제 여러 가지 북한이 할 수 있는 강경 조치에 대한 명분 쌓기일 수도 있겠죠.
A South Korean Ministry of National Defense official rejected North Korea's offers, saying that the terms cannot be accepted by the South.
The UN Security Council consists of 5 permanent member nations. 10 non-permanent members serve 2-year terms. Korea is one of them. Middle powers like Korea stand in opposition to expansion of permanent seats to countries like Japan.
When the United Nations was launched in 1945, it had 51 members. Now, it has over 190 members. That's why calls demanding reforms in the UN Security Council have been gaining strength recently. The key issues are whether or not the number of permanent members should be increased and whether their veto power should be expanded. Germany and Japan, which make the second and third largest financial contributions to the UN respectively, as well as India and Brazil, want to become permanent members of the UN Security Council. Meanwhile, 12 middle powers, including South Korea, set up the UFC to oppose the expansion of permanent members. South Korean government officials are to attend a UFC vice ministerial meeting opening in Mexico today to discuss ways to prevent the UN Security Council from accepting more permanent members. President Park Geun-hye said in her recent interview with the Indian media that she's opposed to increasing the number of permanent member nations. Seoul says it's not opposing any specific nation, but its diplomatic interests do include hampering Japan from becoming a permanent member of the UN Security Council. Seoul firmly believes that Japan is not qualified to become an international leader unless it apologizes for its past wrongdoings.
As concerns are raised over the impact of fine dust particles on health, Seoul will respond with the launch of a high-tech geostationary satellite to trace the spread of pollution coming from China.
When observing dust pollution and smog, 2 types of equipment are used: ground-based observatories and low-Earth orbit satellites. But trying to check the oceans or the conditions in other countries from land is impossible, and the satellites that pass over the Korean peninsula do so every 2 minutes, making continuous observations difficult. These are reasons why the government launched the development of a geostationary multi-purpose satellite in cooperation with a U.S. artificial satellite developer. The device weighs 3 tons and is 8.9 meters long. It can observe the Korean peninsula at 36,000 kilometers above the ground around the clock and throughout the year because it rotates at the same speed as the Earth. Its mission is to find where the air pollutants originate from and where they are heading by the use of atmospheric light analysis.
단선에게 빛을 보는 것만이 아니고 대기 중에 그런 스펙트럼을 보면서 어느 오염물질이 어느 정도 있다, 어디에 분포했다 그런 것을 판단할 수 있는.
The satellite can observe the seas off the Korean peninsula and trace air pollutants coming from China, Russia, Japan, and even India. It is to be launched in 2018.
With the FIFA World Cup in Brazil just a few months away, the Korean national football team has opened its first training session in Brazil. Competition for a spot on the national roster is fierce.
The sun is blazing and temperatures are soaring above 30 degrees Celsius. But these players run 20-meter sprints with heart monitors strapped to their chests. Even though they're out of breath, they can't let up because national team coach Myung-hwan is watching. As soon as the physical test is over, a practice game follows. Since star players playing in the European leagues are joining the team, those belonging to teams in the Korean League must work that much harder to make the final roster.
누가 이길지 안 이길지 모르겠지만 끝까지 한번 해봐야 될 것 같아요.
Even the conditions at the Korean team's base camp are made to simulate the World Cup. The chefs who will prepare the team's meals in the games have already joined them. Their meal plans are going to help boost the players' energy and maximize their performance.
선수들이 훈련하고 힘들면은 이렇게 타지에 오면은 음식으로 스트레스 풀려고 하더라고요. 그래가지고 되도록 맛있게.
Coach Myung-hwan is going to watch the week-long base camp workouts before fine-tuning his strategies for the World Cup.
The term twilight childcare was coined to describe the growing number of grandparents looking after their grandchildren. Companies have picked up on the trend with a line of new products.
This 60-year-old grandmother changes a baby's diapers with ease. She enjoys babysitting for her grandson while the parents make a living, but she gets tired at times.
큰애들 볼 때는 괜찮았는데 얘 볼 때는 이제는 힘이 좀 붙여. 그래서 좀 내가 많은 걸 영양제도 챙겨 먹고 내가 건강해야 애기도 봐줄 수 있으니까.
At a recent baby products fair, products catering to seniors grab particular attention. This baby carriage is designed to fold with the push of a button and anyone can use it. This baby bottle changes colors according to the food temperature, which makes it easier for grandparents to prepare baby food. The scale is marked on the inside of this pot so anyone can adjust the measurements.
베이비 산업 용품뿐만 아니라 교육이나 문화, 책의 출판이나 할아버지 할머니를 위한 공연까지도 문화적으로 전반적으로 확대되고 있는 추세입니다.
Many grandparents now have a second career babysitting their grandchildren. Markets catering to their needs are also on the rise.
In entertainment, Seoul's Dongdaemun district is now home to a holographic performance hall, where audiences can see their favorite K-pop stars like never before.
The group Big Bang has numerous fans around the world. Their singing and dancing appear so real as if it's a performance in a real concert hall. Hologram technology is shooting laser beams into an empty space to reproduce a third-dimensional imagery. The screen opens up 270 degrees. The acoustics, lights, and laser are comparable to an actual concert hall. An array of special effects perfect an awesome stage production. This is a newly opened Hologram Hall in Dongdaemun in Seoul, where visitors can enjoy performances by K-pop stars that are close to the real deal. It especially targets foreign tourists and fans of the Korean wave. Performances will be held 8 times a day. Outside the hall are various interactive digital zones where fans can take photos with their favorite stars' holograms.
해외에서는 새로운 한류의 붐을 조성하고 국내적으로는 해외 관광객을 유치하는 효과가 클 것으로 생각을 합니다.
Similar hologram centers, which combine K-pop and the latest digital technology, will also open in Seoul's Myeongdong area and Jeju Island, as well as other spots in Japan, China, and Southeast Asia.
Exercising in the comfort of your home when it's chilly outside is easier than ever these days, thanks to a variety of indoor exercise equipment. Exercising outdoors during the winter isn't easy thanks to cold weather and air pollution. Here's how to exercise at home in the most effective way. Consumers these days can choose from a wide variety of exercise equipment. Many people think that exercising indoors is less effective, but that's not necessarily true. This woman has succeeded in shaping her body by exercising at home.
겨울에는 집에서 이렇게 운동을 하다 보니까 되게 편한 거예요. 그리고 틈틈이 할 수 있고 겨울철에도 몸매 관리를 할 수 있겠더라고요. 그래서 저는 살도 거의 한 9에서 10kg 정도 감량이 됐고요.
But many of those who buy exercise equipment don't know how to use it properly. Oftentimes, they just stop using it altogether. Finding the right kind of indoor exercise is important if you want to benefit from exercising at home. Here are the 3 most commonly used kinds of exercise equipment. One of them is the treadmill. It helps alleviate spinal pressure and allows you to train muscles evenly. Experts recommend exercising on a treadmill 4 times a week for 40 minutes at a time. Running on a treadmill for 10 minutes at 6 kilometers an hour helps burn 50 to 65 calories. If you have an exercise bike, use it 3 times a week for no longer than an hour. A 10-minute exercise at a moderate pace will help you burn 65 calories.
발목이 아프거나 무릎이 아픈 사람, 너무 비만해서 걷기가 힘든 사람의 경우에 자전거 타기를 함으로써 심폐지구력 향상과 그다음에 체중 감량의 효과를 얻을 수 있다고 봅니다.
This is known as a stepper. It's great for people who have weak legs. You should land each step on the sole of your feet. After a 10-minute workout, you will have burned 60 calories. Don't forget to take a break every 5 minutes because this exercise requires more strength than you might think. Using a hula hoop helps improve circulation and digestion. If you're a beginner, your hula hoop shouldn't weigh more than 2 kilograms. Before and after exercising at home, don't forget to perform warm-up and cool-down exercises. Here's how.
목 측면 쪽 그리고 사각근이라는 근육을 풀어준 동작이고요.
Pull your chin down toward the shoulders 3 or 4 times to stretch your stiff neck and shoulders. This also helps increase joint flexibility and relieve muscle tension in the back. If you're worried your legs are weak, lie down on your side and lift your legs backward. When it comes to exercising at home, implementing your plan is the hardest part. Oftentimes, exercising at home is simply boring. To spice things up, turn on invigorating music or watch TV while exercising. Using the same equipment for a long time can also get tedious. Renting exercise equipment can solve this problem. You can rent all kinds of equipment for a low fee. In winter, demand for exercise equipment rises 40%. By choosing the right type of exercise and equipment, you can keep fit even when it's freezing outside. Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. That's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.